Hi! I posted a video 3 weeks ago to find out if string gauge affects the swing weight of a racket. You'll find a link below if you still need to watch that video. But here's a short recap of the end of that video. Now I don't know if you wondered why I went through the trouble of stringing these 6 rackets just to find out if there's a swing weight difference in string materials in 3 different gauges. But there's actually another reason, and I plan to post a video in a couple of weeks. So let's make this fun. I'm going to have a contest to see who can guess first why I did this. I want to congratulate Nathan Clarici for winning the contest and correctly answering the content of this video. So congratulations, Nathan. And I also want to thank everyone else who participated in the contest. Before I get into my findings of this experiment, here's what I did 3 weeks ago. I strung 6 rackets, 3 in a synthetic gut and another 3 in a polyester string, and all rackets were strung at 50 pounds. All right, so now let's take a look at the readings. All right, so let's take a look at this chart for tension maintenance. And going into this experiment, I mean, you would think that the thicker gauge would hold tension longer because of the fact that there's more material to stretch out. So we have the 3 gauges here, 1.25, the 1.30, and the 1.35. And then for each string, you'll notice that there's 3 additional columns, and the DT is measured dynamic tension by the ERT 300. And then I convert it into pounds, and this is where we're gonna pay attention to in terms of tension maintenance. And this last column, the SBD, is string bed deflection measured by my RDC. And you can see the first string here is a Prince synthetic gut. So take a look at the initial reading. And again, we're going to pay more attention to this yellow column here. So I had an initial reading of 46, 46. This one came a little tighter, the thicker gauge string. Now I was tracking it along the way, but we're going to just skip to week 3 because that's where we're at right now. And if you take a look at the drop in tension, it went from 46 to 42, 46 to 40. So that was a little bit more than the 17 gauge. And this one went from 47 to 42. Now what I did is I figured out the percentage based on that number, week 3's numbers. And so this 42 resulted in a 9% tension loss. And this one came in at 13, which was the highest of the 3, and then this at 11%. I'm not sure why this particular string came out with the highest tension loss, but I would have thought again that the thinner gauge would have had the highest amount of tension loss, but you could see it actually came out the lowest of the 3. Let's take a look at the polyester string next. So here we have the Prince Vortex Triad. And my initial readings came out 33, 33, 33. So that was nice. I mean, all 3 gauges came out the same. One thing to note though, it did come out higher than the synthetic gut strings. Now it is a different racket. Both rackets were 100 square inch head size on a 16-18 pattern, but it did come out tighter in terms of the DT. Now I'm going to take a look at week 3 because we're going to again look at the current reading here. And so you can see that it went from 48 to 40. So that's a bigger drop here. Well, I'll show you the percentage in a little while. But look at this. It's all the same. 48, 40, 48, 40 here. Well, that means all of the strings in all 3 gauges for the polyester resulted in a 17% tension loss. Logic would state that the thicker gauge should lose less tension, but in this case of the Prince Vortex Triad, in all 3 gauges, it lost the same amount of tension in that 3-week period. Here's an idea. Since I have these rackets strung with 3 different string gauges, I thought it would be a perfect opportunity for me to find out if string gauge makes any noticeable difference in power and control. So here's what I decided to do. I set up some skills tests similar to the ones that I use in my racket reviews, where I'm trying to hit different shots And in this particular one, I'm aiming my ground strokes in the back portion of the court. So I'm hitting some forehands and some backhands, and I have each of the rackets wrapped with different color overgrips so I can identify the rackets when I'm reviewing the video. All right, so here's the 3 rackets, and again, I identified each racket by the color of the overgrip. And I actually listed the swing weight because I was just curious what it was. I really should have made sure that each of my frames was spec'd out exactly before I strung them. It was originally, but because I think this particular frame, I used it a lot and there was a lot of wear at the head, so this one actually was a little bit lower. But it's close enough to this one, so I don't think it factored in too much in this play test. So let's take a look at this first skills test where I was hitting my ground strokes for depth and power. These red numbers are the results that I got after hitting 10 balls and how many I actually got in that deep target area. Now this one is highlighted because I happened to get the highest with this the thicker gauge string, but it could have easily been one of these two if I did another 10 balls. So this was kind of I don't think as important. But what stood out was this miles per hour. So you notice that this 56.2 is the highest out of the thinner gauges. And when I hit my backhand, this was the highest also, comparing these two. Now I did another video where I found out that my backhand I actually hit harder because I hit less spin. So it makes sense that even though it feels like I can hit my forehand harder, I'm actually getting more spin, so that's why I think the miles per hour is showing up a little bit lower. But the other thing I noticed about using the thicker gauge was my launch angle was lower. So what I had to do was just adjust the height that I was hitting over the net to make sure that I hit the deep targets. And I think I was getting less spin overall. And I noticed when I used the thinner gauges that the launch angle was higher. So what I really had to focus on was to impart more spin to make sure that the ball stayed in, again, within that deep target. But as a result, I got, even though I got a heavier ball with more spin, it didn't really show up on the miles per hour. So that's my theory why this one happened to be a little bit higher. For the second skills test, I'm testing myself on how much angle and control I have. And I'm hitting my forehands with topspin and trying to make that ball dip into the alley before the service line. Now when it came to my backhand, I am using a slice backhand because that's a shot that I would typically use if I'm trying to aim for that part of the court. So let's check out the readings from this test. All right, next we have my ground strokes when I was going for the angle shot and control. Now if you take a look at these, I won't even talk about the red numbers, but again, the miles per hour. Now this is interesting because my forehand, if you notice, I highlighted because it was the highest out of the other two thicker gauges, which kind of makes sense to me. But when I did my backhand, it was actually the lowest if you compare it to the thicker gauges. And here's my theory for this, the reason for this. So when I hit my forehand, I was trying to hit that forehand with the extreme spin to create that angle. So as a result, I had to really brush up on the ball and really make sure that the ball was dipping down in the court. So it kind of made sense that this one would be the highest because I think I had the most spin and the most speed on the ball. And when I was hitting my backhand though, because I was hitting slices, it actually was slowing down the speed of the ball. And it was interesting to see that this one actually was the slowest, which is a good thing because if you're trying to hit a slice and angling it short, then you want it to actually slow down. So it was kind of interesting that it acted one way on my forehand and it behaved another way on my backhand. Although I did the skills challenge for my volleys, I decided not to feature it in this video. I didn't feel like it revealed anything that important. But you can see me hitting my serves. I was aiming out wide, so on the deuce court, I was hitting my slice serves, and on the ad court, I was hitting my topspin serve. All right, let's take a look at my serve, and I was mainly focusing on accuracy and spin. I forgot to take out this power because I was not hitting any flat serves. I'm still dealing with tennis elbow, so I didn't want to go there with this playtest. But for my slice serve, you can see that for the thinnest gauge, I got the highest miles per hour reading. And when it came to my topspin serve, it was this 1.30 that I had the highest here. So I can't really say that these two numbers mean that much. It was definitely higher than the thicker gauge. Maybe if I hit my flat serves, it would be more interesting to see what the result would be. But I can say that when I was using the thinner gauge string, that I could actually impart more spin, or at least it felt like I could swing out more, and I felt more confident when I was able to do that, and my balls stayed in as a result of being able to hit out more. I would like to take this opportunity to thank SWINGVISION for providing me their app, which enabled me to produce these video clips. I kept the camera running for an hour 39 minutes, even though I wasn't hitting for that amount of time. But when I was done, it edited down to under 20 minutes. So you can see how it would be a valuable tool for match play or even practices. So if you want to check it out, see my affiliate link down below and get a free 45-day trial. In summary, none of these experiments turned out the way I expected. Now remember, this is based on the strings that I used and the string tension that I strung the rackets at. Well, I think it's safe to say that these 6 rackets served this purpose in these 3 experiments. But just in case, I'll keep these strung for safekeeping. Thanks for watching, happy stringing, and let your strings play.